So, one of the things that I want to do is help people understand a bit about this wild digital world that we are suddenly thrust into, the world of AI, generative AI, and the various iterations of it. So, with that in mind, I want to have a guiding question for this little talk, and it's this: can an AI tell a lie? Hey, that rhymes. Can an AI tell a lie? Well, that seems like a meaningful question, but it really is only a meaningful question if you're talking about a human, and I'm going to explain why. So, to start with the explanation, I want to flip that question around and ask you this: can an AI tell the truth? Can it tell a truth at all? And then we might add to that, can it tell the difference between a lie and the truth? Well, those questions being asked illustrate the kinds of things that we might want to know about AI as Christians and as believers in Jesus. We might want to know those things, but it's important to understand that those questions are actually, they kind of miss the point of what an AI is doing, and I want to try to explain that. So, to start, I want to give you kind of a rundown of what happens in your brain or your mind or your spirit, however God's designed us. I don't know which terminology is really the best, but when you get information, your mind is designed to categorize that information. And one of the most basic taxonomies that you use for categorizing information is true or false. You might think of it as fact or fiction. Okay, so when information comes in to you, your mind, your brain, that's what you're doing. So when you see the sky is blue, 10,000 times during your life, then when you get information, you hear information, you then test that information against your experiential model in the world, because you have a model that you followed. You've experienced certain things and you could test it against it. You also test it against other trusted sources. So like your parents told you that the sky was blue, and that then reinforces it. So you have other trusted sources for testing. So you are designed to determine truth from lies, truth from untruth when you get information. That is not what an AI is both designed to do, nor is that what an AI is capable of doing. And there's a few reasons for that. So when an AI is trained, it is trained on billions and billions of instances of, if it's a large language model, it's trained on billions of instances of text. If it's an image generative system, it's trained on, lots and lots of images. So let's just think of the large language model. Inside of the large language model, there are thousands, maybe millions of statements that are contradictory, that contradict each other. And then that is baked into the data set of the AI. And the AI does not have a model for determining which of those things are true or false. Now, that's partially because it doesn't have a way to experience the world, and it also doesn't have trusted sources per se, but it's also just not what it's designed to do. What it's designed to do is something different entirely. So all of this information gets baked into the data set, and it continues to live kind of in the training of that AI. And that AI can then draw on any of that information, and it is, and it's all available, and a lot of it contradicts. And so this creates a real dilemma. And we see it when we use AI, that if the AI gets the sense that you want to hear a certain perspective, it can give you that because it is familiar with that perspective. But then if you hint to it that you come from a different perspective, it can shift over and it can give you that perspective. And so which is the truth? Well, it doesn't know. And it's not what it's trying to figure out, because here's what it's trying to figure out. It's trying to predict the user's most valued output. no, I'm sorry, I said that oddly. What I mean is it's trying to predict what would be the most valuable output to the user. Okay? It's all about marketing, really, when it comes down to it. It wants to produce the most marketable outputs. The thing that's going to make it the most money is the thing that is the output that the user really wants. And so some users want truthful information. And it can kind of lean in that way, but it doesn't really know whether it's truth or not. It's just in the data set, when people talk about truth and these issues come up, then it's kind of weighted in that way. If the user wants fiction, but it sounds factual, then it can produce that, no problem. It's not uncomfortable doing that. It doesn't have any hesitation. The model itself, the base model itself, will just give you that. Now, some of you might be thinking that, well, when I use ChatGPT, a lot of times it tells me, it has these guidelines and these guards that are that keep it from saying certain things. Yes, it does. But those guards, those guidelines are like a layer placed on top. They're not baked into the data set unless someone has gone through the data set and curated it. These guidelines, and you're talking about billions of instances of text. It's just something a human team can't do, except in mass and by some procedures. But it's not perfect, right? So the data set has all this garbage in it, and then the human engineers layer on top of that guidelines that try to keep it held in, but it's doomed to fail, in my opinion. I mean, the idea of like top layer guidelines, it just seems to me that it's doomed to fail because as the AIs kind of move into the open source marketplace or the freeware marketplace, and even more scary, into the black market, which it's all there now already. But as it moves more and more into that, there's going to be huge large language models that are being used for all kinds of nefarious scams and whatever, and they don't want guidelines on those. What they want is the AI to do exactly what it was trained to do, which is to predict what the user would consider the most valuable output. And so if you can imagine in the scenario where a scammer wants to use an AI large language model to scam a victim, well, he doesn't want any guidelines. He wants that AI to be able to produce the most realistic outputs that sound plausible, that sound truthful. But the AI has no conscience about that. It's not uncomfortable with that. It's just a program. And that comes down to the fact that, I'm getting close to the end of this, okay? I'm about to wrap up. But it comes down to the fact that AI, in its current format, has no will, it has no desire, it has no initiative of its own. It's inert. It's like an inert gas. An inert gas can be used for good things, like, you can make a light bulb with an inert gas, but you can also suffocate people to death with an inert gas. But the inert gas itself doesn't go and do that. That's an AI. AI is inert without an operator. And the operator can use an AI, which is on its own inert. It can use it for really bad stuff because the AI doesn't have any will or desire or anything like that. It is just an inert tool that can be either used for good or for bad. So an AI, therefore, cannot tell the truth, but it also cannot tell a lie. And by proxy, therefore, it cannot tell the difference between a truth and a lie. It's just not what it's designed to do. It's not what it's trying to do. And any attempt that it tries to do when you're using one is an illusion. It's not truly the way that a human mind works. That's why every once in a while, you will get a message on, like, say, ChatGPT that says that, I'm a large language model. I do not have beliefs. I do not, stuff like that. And so for a large language model to be able to lie or tell the truth, it would have to have beliefs. And it just doesn't. It's just not, it's not what it is designed to do. So it cannot tell the truth, but it cannot tell a lie either. It can be a useful tool, but it also can be a nefarious tool. It can be amazingly helpful, and it can be amazingly dangerous depending on who's running it and how it's being run. So if you are a Christian like me, then it's valuable to know a little bit about this stuff. And if you've got ideas or questions, let me know. I'm not always answering questions. I'm usually producing the next media thing. But if you do have questions, I'm interested to hear them, and maybe we can explore them a little bit. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.